the parent of like a little kid, I think has gotten a lot harder than when I was raising my daughter. She's 23 now, and man, I got to tell you, the decisions you have to make and the things you have to monitor and protect your children from today has gotten a lot harder. What do you give them that's still entertaining, but also aligns with your values? You know, we've talked about WayFM being a product that you don't have to filter, but like if you got Netflix in your house, you got to have the filter on.
And even Disney Plus, you have the same problem.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, Disney Plus has been disappointing to me as a parent, and some of the things they've chose to put on there, and like you got to watch it, you know? And that's why it's so nice to have something. If I was raising little kids, I would do Pure Flix subscription, man, because you've got content on there that you're not having to filter out. And as a parent, I mean, I know we want to be involved in our kids' lives, but sometimes you need to park them in front of the TV and take 10 minutes to yourself. That's why Pure Flix is a great option for families. You got family stuff, obviously. They're even dabbling in some drama. Yes, and Pure Flix originals. Like I saw the movie on their Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, and I have to tell you,
you cried.
I did. There was 3 times. Not once, 3 times.
I did.
I wept, and I was moved, and it was a great movie. And I think if I was raising my child now, I think Pure Flix would be definitely a part of my family's entertainment plan.
So if you'd like to try Pure Flix, text PURE, that's P-U-R-E, to 91979 to get your 1-week free trial. Faith and family entertainment with no ads on your favorite devices.
Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All those things we didn't get to during the course of the show today. Sometimes on Friday, we like to catch up from weekend plans on Monday. Everybody's weekend good. Betty Rock, did you accomplish all the plans you had told us about doing that you were going to have?
Or the non-plans?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. It was wonderful. I went and helped a friend move a little bit, start packing and moving a little bit Friday night. It wasn't too bad.
That's good.
But then Saturday, I slept for maybe 12 hours.
How? Oh,
and then I woke up and watched some Dateline and ate.
Good day.
Some Chick-fil-A and then took a nap for like 2 hours.
You slept
again.
A lot.
Yeah, I love to sleep.
I guess you do. Holy cow.
It's wonderful.
Sign of depression, but whatever. No.
Sounds like what?
Sign of depression.
Or a sign of a well-slept human being.
Yeah.
It's content.
Yeah, we decided, you had mentioned that the Nashville flea market was in town, and my mom is with me, and my wife was gone, and my wife and I usually go to this, but it's so funny, my mom is working on all of these crafts that she's making. She's going to be part of a craft show coming up in Florida when she goes home, and so she's making all of the products she wants to sell, and she has goals set for herself, and so I went to her the day before, and I said, hey, do you want to do the flea market tomorrow morning? And she's like, oh, okay. I have 3 of these stockings I need to make, and I really need to get these done beforehand. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm like thinking she just didn't want to go. And she's like, but I'll work really hard on them. And so like she worked like all day, and they're all hand sewing things. And like
You rushed her.
Oh yeah, her hands were bleeding, but she kept going, and God bless her.
Worth it.
We made it. No, but it was just so funny because she's like, I got to get this done, because she's like me, like she sets goals. And if you don't,
or you're like her.
I'm like her, yeah. Like you have to accomplish that goal before you can move on. Like when I was passing out and I had to put one more nail in my deck, you know. But it was good. Like she finished that, and then we actually went and we had a great time. We got kettle corn. She ate most of it. I got a little bit. And
you're reaching in. She's like, no.
Oh, absolutely. I found a base for a thing. I put it on our stories, but I built that was what felt good for me as I came home, and I knocked out building a end table piece that I've been wanting to build for a while, and it all came together. I did it like an hour and a half.
Nice.
So that was good. And then we had,
hers is sewing, yours is woodcraft.
Yeah, exactly. But it was crazy because we had Greg and his mother-in-law come over for dinner, and it was great. We spent the afternoon cooking together. So good. Like I loved it. We had fun that night. And then the next morning we got up, went to church, went to lunch, and came home, and she went back and was sewing, and I had nothing to do. Like I had done all my work for the day.
Sounds great.
No, like I did Monday school. I couldn't mow because it was wet. My project on my backyard, my deck is on hold until the builder does his part. Like, so I'm just like, I had nothing to do. It was horrible.
I don't feel sorry for
Amen.
you.
You don't. Why not?
Amen.
I warned you about this.
Yeah.
and you don't listen.
I know.
What did I say?
I'm not sure. I don't listen. That at times you have to take time and just enjoy that.
Well,
nothing.
that too, but no, you're always rushing to
Yeah.
finish a project.
Yeah.
But why?
I don't know.
Because then you're stuck with nothing.
With nothing.
You should take your time, really enjoy the process instead of just rushing through. It took me an hour and a half.
I know. I
Well,
nailed it.
congrats.
Well, that's all the time it needed to take, though. If I had
Who are you
stretched it out,
Who are you trying to rush?
I
Who
just
are
like to
you
get it
trying?
done.
But then you're left with nothing.
Yeah.
You would be so, I think it would be equal parts burnout and satisfied if you had some secondary job that involved like your passions, like woodcrafting and all that stuff. But that is the problem, that if those things became a job, you'd probably find ways to hate it over loving it.
Then it's not fun anymore.
He'll find ways to hate things.
Oh, that's weird. That doesn't sound like me at all.
I don't
Gavin.
know. Do you know who you're talking about?
Yeah. So I got it, but so it was weird. Like, so the afternoon I was playing like on my PS4 for a while.
Nice.
I haven't
Just
done
being a
that in a
guy.
while. Yeah. So
Come
I did
on.
that, and then I would find myself stopping that, and I'd get up and I'd walk around the house a little bit, and like, wow, what do I do? And so then I went upstairs and.
Wait, did you say you were wandering? Or
Yeah, I would do a circle around my house. It's like,
What?
what is there something else I could do? I was, and then I went upstairs and I learned how to play "Paradise City" by Guns N' Roses. I always liked that riff. So I'm like, oh, you'll learn how to play that, and so I did that. But I was basically having to find things to fill up my time. I was so happy when I got to like dinner time and I could eat dinner, and then I knew it was bed. So that was good. What about you, Gavin? Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, it was a really good weekend. We saw friends on Friday and Saturday, and then church was really fun yesterday, and then last night.
What made church fun? Because usually it's a little convicting for me.
Sure. Because I'm a good Christian, it's a really nice
I'm
Sunday.
not.
No,
Yeah.
but Haley sometimes will basically like take me out of the bullpen to use me in kids ministry if she doesn't find the volunteers that she needs.
Because she works at your church.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she's doing the kids ministry until November right now. And so she tagged me in for the 9:00 service. So I got to hang out with these two kids, both 3 years old. Both thought I was the coolest person they'd ever met, which was affirming, validating.
I needed that today.
I did. It was helpful. And they're shorter than me. It's just a nice addition of all these things that make me feel better about myself.
That's great.
But that was fun. And then last night we were a part of this connection dinner at the church where there are like 3 or 4 new couples that have come to the church in the last few months. And then so our pastor used us as a example of a couple that showed up 3 years ago, and look how good it's been for them. And like they were going to use us as people to make connections with these people. And I mean, we've already got stuff on the books for the next couple weeks with a couple of them. So
good.
I'm hoping it turns out well.
That's good. Good for you. That's good. You're getting plugged into church
Oh,
there. Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you, Hurricane Michael is on its way to Florida, and the Panhandle is where they're thinking it's going to hit. They're not 100% sure. I think it's like a category, like it weakened to like a 2 or a 3 or a 1. I don't know, but they're saying when it hits the Gulf, it's going to increase, and they're fearing that it could hit land as like a 4, and that is not a good thing because. This is Ian. Michael was the reason I bring up Michael. Michael was the one that went in as a Category 5 a few years ago, and it took 2+ years for people to get their lives somewhat back to normal there, and so they do not need another direct hit from Ian for sure. So definitely people watching this and. Kind of all you can do really is hope and pray and prepare.
Right.
Get your house ready and get things ready to go. And Betty was asking me earlier, we're talking about this off the air. She was like, do people like leave Florida anymore? I think more people leave now than used to after a couple of the real devastating hurricanes hit. They learned, okay, we can't ride this out because it gets bad. The aftermath is really bad too. You can survive the hurricane, but then you've got to be without power and water and all the problems that come with that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
That's what happened to us when we left. We were at Orlando for a convention, a radio convention a few years ago, and we had to leave because of the hurricane. And it took us 17 hours, I think, to get home. And we luckily kept finding gas every time we were about half a tank. We'd find it and fill up, and we were able to get our way home. But I mean, it took hours on the freeway just standing there and stuff. And my parents, it took them, they left later than us, and they came up to be with us, and they took them over 2 days to get up there.
Was this the time that your dad used the Kool-Aid pitcher?
Yes,
as a bath room?
Yeah, there's nowhere to go. Yeah, that's what you do. It was all bets were off. It was a weird time for getting up
Survive.
there. Yeah, seriously. I mean, you get into survival situations and some of that stuff. I really hope this thing will weaken and won't go in as heavy as it is planning to. Speaking of coming in heavy, the America that we live in and America and its allies said that the White House said that they will act decisively if Russia uses a tactical nuclear weapon in Ukraine. The U.S. National Security Advisor said he was reaffirming that the Biden White House and their mounting concern over Vladimir Putin's threats of increased danger could be realized, that we've communicated directly and privately at very high levels of the Kremlin that any use of nuclear weapons will be met with catastrophic consequences for Russia, and that the U.S. and our allies will respond decisively.
Good.
That's next level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it is encouraging to hear the standing up for something, standing up for the kid who's getting bullied. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't really want to even hear that kind of stuff in the first place because you don't know what's going to come from that in the future of the world.
Well, the thing with Putin is, too, Putin's thrown around a lot of things and he's bolstered and stuff like that. But then the thing, like just the invasion itself, he was like, oh, no, I'm not going to invade. And then he invades, So you can't trust a single thing that's out of his mouth. So you have to, he's a wild card. You have to take, if he says I could do this, then you have to take him at his word now and say, okay, fine, you can do this, but we can whoop you, And as we're finding out, too, Russia, we thought was this military power, and they're getting handed to themselves in Ukraine right now with people that are fighting for their homeland. They didn't think they were going to be there this long, and so it would be really interesting if they actually went that route. Oh my gosh, that would be Putin basically saying, I am going to force World War III, and then we're all in it, because then we jump in, China jumps in, and it is a mess, all from one maniacal lunatic, who decided to not play well with others in the sandbox. Crazy that's the kind of stuff that's at stake.
I'd like to know what happened in his childhood.
That's a really good question, Rock. I don't know. There's rumors that he's sick, and I've contended since the beginning of this that he wants to have a legacy that he brought the USSR back to its former glory, and that
back
he
to
was
the USSR?
one. Yeah, that he was the one. And I'm sure, though, when the U.S. says, because there hasn't been a nuclear bomb dropped since Japan in Hiroshima, and we did that. So I'm sure Putin's like, oh, really? You're kind of hypocrites here if you're going to be all bent about this and you did this to Japan. Stay out of it. But you can't anymore because we're all so connected now. So it'll be really interesting to see what the next few weeks bring with that. I hope he's just bluffing. I hope, because none of us need that in our lives for sure. What do you got, Rock?
It turns out, and you may be like me, a big fan of the royal family. You want to know who's the most popular. And I found this article that pretty much lines it up. So, in general, no matter the age gap, the most admired royal members are William at number 1.
No. Oh, William. I thought it meant Harry. Yeah, I could see that. William and Kate's got to be 2.
Kate is number 2.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's good to know that everybody loves the future royal family. When you move up to ages 18 to 24, those ages at the top are Harry and Meghan.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, the ages of people who lie. Okay.
Right.
I was like, there's no way they're 24.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
The ages between 18 and 24. Now, when you get up to 25 and the 34-year-olds.
No one said Charles. There's no one that said Charles.
William and Harry are at number 1. So
that's
the brothers.
Interesting. Oh, that's
Why
interesting.
is William do you guys like William? Opinion on William? I don't feel like I know anything about him.
He comes across as very sturdy, very...
Yeah.
Seems like his hair is leaving him.
Yeah, William is the son that did it all right. And basically, if you look at the story in the Bible, the prodigal son, Harry's the prodigal son, and William is the one that followed his duties.
Stayed around.
Yeah, and so I think there's a respect for that from people.
Okay.
The ages of between 35 and 44, they most like like William at number 1.
Wow.
And then number 2 is Charles.
Charles, really?
He's so
I didn't think anybody really cared about Charles. Like,
We're getting older, so 45 to 54 range. They like William and Kate.
yeah.
Yeah. And then this is surprising, 55 to 64 age range. I guess because the older men maybe have died off by then. I'm not sure. But Princess Anne and Kate are the most popular.
Princess Anne? I couldn't even pick her out of a lineup.
The sister of King Charles.
Oh, really?
So she was Queen Elizabeth's daughter.
Huh.
Oh, I couldn't. I would not even know who
There's
she was.
so many of them.
Yeah, I get confused.
And then 65 and older, William is at the very top, followed by Anne.
If you're William, you've got to be pretty happy with this. Like,
I mean, he's the top in all genres except 18 to 24.
yeah, and then I'm sure he's probably in the top
and 55
3.
to 60.
And what do those kids know?
Yeah, they don't know anything. They just watch TikToks and go, I love Harry.
Children.
But
What does Harry stand for? I don't know.
But Harry and Meghan, I mean, Meghan especially, you don't see her like in the general popularity vote. Meghan comes in at a whopping number 8.
Yeah.
She's under Camilla.
Oh, Camilla Parker Bowles.
Yeah,
Really?
which says a lot.
Yeah, because that was the one that kind of broke up Princess Diana and Charles, which everybody hated.
So she's not really liked by anyone except 18 to 24 year olds.
If you're Meghan Markle, you've got to read that and go, really? Like, you don't, like, I thought I was cool. Like, you know.
I think she was until she did the Oprah sit down interview. And then it started coming out that she was mean to everybody around her. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
She was like a bully.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We don't know much. And she hasn't, I mean, given she's a mom and she doesn't have to prove herself to anyone. But if she is going to be in the public eye and people are going to spread rumors about her, she's not doing anything to say it isn't true.
I'm curious what English people, like how they would line up with this. Do they feel the same way? Because we look at it from afar and we romanticize the royals and stuff like that. I'm curious what actually people who are affected by them or, you know, live in that society, what theirs
And this could
are.
be. It says, it doesn't say specifically what the
where it
people
was
were
from.
polled.
Okay.
But it just says
Yeah.
that's what this is. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Hey, do you happen to have any birthdays?
Birthdays.
I do not.
What?
No one was born
No one to
today.
celebrate.
That's crazy. What a sad day the
Tragedy.
26th was.
26.
Sixth.
Sixth.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Nailed it.
Normal.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we are going to end this here Aftercast, this Fastercast today. And as always, thanks for being a potty.